Well, I learned from a friend that showed me why. Instead of asking why, start asking why not. Time flies when you're having fun. Time flies when you're lying in the sun. Bit by bit, the older that we get, the faster it tick, 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 ticks. Time flies. Whoa, whoa, time flies.
All right, I think we're live. Hello out there. Good afternoon, everyone. Lyndall Fraker here with Marshfield Old School Times. Got a couple of very special friends, longtime Webster County natives, Neva and Bill Schroder. Schroders, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
having us.
We're absolutely extremely pleased to have them with us today. Before I start, I want to mention that this is the first time that I've done the podcast without Logan or Landon Fraker here to help me with the production and the technology. So if there's anybody out there watching, if you would message me and say, hey, you're coming in loud and clear, I would appreciate that. It would help to make sure that we're going live as we plan to. So I'll watch my phone here for a few minutes, and someone that might have my text message, I'd appreciate that. So Bill and Neva have been obviously longtime Webster County natives born down around the Seymour community. We're going to hear a little bit about that. The last, 12 years you've lived down in Houston, Texas area around your family, which is the right thing to do for you at this point in life. But what we like to do is just to start out with sort of kind of a biography of our guests. And Neva, we'll start with you. As Gary Price would say, when did you come to America? And then tell a little bit about your folks, your family, your siblings, and, where you grew up, if you don't mind.
Where my parents had 10 children. I'm the seventh. And I'm really proud of a lot of our family. They've done really well for a poor Ozarkian family who learned to work hard and be honest and do things like that and helpful. Dad was big to help everybody, even if he, to the point of fault. Dad was generous
Right.
to the point of fault.
And he was carpenter.
Carpenter,
What was his first name?
Jim Funny.
Okay.
They called him Jim Funny. Long
Jim Funny,
after he
okay.
was, he was a pretty funny fella.
Uh-huh.
And he was named that in first grade. They said, Jim, you are a funny. And it stuck.
Yeah.
And so even long after he died, people would say, oh, you're Jim Funny's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
And your
Proud
mother?
of my family. She was more from Nebraska and moved here, and
What was her maiden name?
Davis.
Davis.
But she was not related to anyone here
Gotcha.
that we knew of.
Right. Did they meet in the Seymour area though? Or,
Yeah, Nation
area.
School
Uh-huh.
area.
Yeah.
So Liberty Church area.
Now, where was the farm at that you grew up on?
Well, you can't get there from here.
Well, that's possible. I travel that country, hauling Amish though. So
Highway C
Uh-huh.
on Double P.
Uh-huh.
About a mile down the road on the C.
Long P or short P?
Short P.
Yeah, I guess.
You turn east,
East,
like south
yeah.
of Liberty Church.
Right.
Yeah, that'd be Short P. You're getting out there in the Seas
And
country.
we walked 3 miles to Nation School.
Yeah.
And we went to Liberty Church.
Okay.
And that's where my great grandfather gave the land for the church, and a lot of my relatives are buried there.
Okay.
But we plan to give our body to science.
Yeah. Well, that's
what we plan.
honorable thing to do for sure. Yeah, I don't know if you knew this, but my grandfather, Fred Fraker, and I talked about this on last week's show when we honored Mom and Dad. He framed one of the buildings there at the Nation School. I think there were 2 school buildings.
2 buildings.
Because the way I understand it, and I think Mr. Bolson and some of them that did the historical books years ago explained it, but I think there was a school house and then they built a new building when I think the state passed some laws for hot lunches, and that may have been the time you were going. Or
No,
probably
the
a little
hot
before
lunch
you.
Came
After you. Okay. Anyway, I think he framed one of those buildings. I know I've read back in the 30s.
Wouldn't have been the Rock Building.
Yeah.
That was a Depression
Well, that may have been
building.
it.
That was, when Roosevelt had you get your own materials.
That was it then.
And they would pay a small
Mhm.
amount of labor,
Mhm.
but it was a smart program.
Mm-hmm.
That Depression program was one who paid for itself.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
The
fully.
WPA program and all of that.
The REA was the one that fully paid for itself as a help program.
Co-ops.
But
Yeah.
the Depression program where like the buildings, rock buildings at the fairground,
Yeah,
they used rock material
yeah. The
and used labor from WPA. I'm sure that's
Right.
a WPA building, although no one's ever told me that.
the Barbara Edwards Arthur Funeral Home was built in that era. My grandpa framed it as well. It wouldn't have been a
Some of the
WPA
rocks
program,
in
but
that building came from our place.
did they?
Because us kids had a class on top of the hill, and we dug a trench. My older brothers helped.
Uh-huh.
They weren't very old, but they
Yeah.
were a lot older than me.
Yeah.
And we stacked them. And Dad didn't know that we had that up there. And Mom was real upset when Dad told the guy, "Yeah, you can have those rocks on top of the hill." He took our play out.
Maybe my granddad,
my
because he framed
playhouse
the
is in
building.
the
Yeah.
rock-
Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great addition to my story about it. Well, Bill, how about you? Tell us a little bit about your.
Okay,
Bringing up.
my father was a German immigrant. He came over to this country when he was about 18. He married a girl in Iowa, and when I was 2 years old, we moved to Webster County, Missouri. So I lived here until I went into the service in 1955.
Okay.
And a couple of years later, I married this gal.
Yeah.
That's been 67 years ago.
67. Okay.
And
This
Wow.
this coming
That's amazing.
Saturday or Sunday.
and
Yeah.
we've decided it probably is permanent.
Yeah. So you
Just gonna stick with it.
can't trade her in now, right, Bill?
Well,
So you were actually born in Iowa then,
yes.
and then at 2 years old came down here. What brought your folks down?
Well,
Probably cheaper land.
yeah, he wanted his own farm.
Yeah.
He was working for other people,
Yeah.
paying off his immigration cost.
See, it cost to ride on the ship, so he owed what,
He had an uncle
4 years later?
in Iowa that financed him, and he had to work for him 2 years to pay for his passage.
I see.
Then he worked
Four more.
long enough to bring over another brother and 2 sisters. So
Wow.
4 siblings ended up in this country that all because of that.
Well,
And
6.
then after he got married, they decided to move to Missouri and have their own farm.
And what time frame did he come over to the States?
About 1922.
22.
He
Was
says,
the depression going on over there yet?
well, it's
Yes.
after the war. He says
Very.
times were tough.
Right.
As he said, times was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he never quite lost his accent.
Yeah,
That's for
yeah.
sure.
Melanie, my wife's grandmother, came over, and she had that broken English German accent as well.
He was
So
also a carpenter too.
he was.
Yeah.
Where was your farm at, or where did you,
It was about 1.5 miles south of Seymour.
south?
The city limits adjoins it now.
Yeah, it's on Highway BB.
Uh-huh.
You could go on south to Dogwood, or you could go the other way and go into Seymour.
Right, right. And what was your mother's name?
Back before she was married,
Yeah.
it was Bathurst.
Bathurst.
She
Okay.
was English. Her family was established in Greenfield, Iowa.
Mhm.
And,
Bath, England is connected
Okay.
to the Bathurst.
Now you had a brother, I remember, Jim, that was with the conservation department. And
Yes.
tell us about him, because he used to be on TV.
he was about 3 years older than I am, and he started off as a fireman in Wichita, Kansas, and there he married.
After the military.
He found a gal and married her, and then they moved back to Springfield, where he got a job in the fire department for a little while. But from there, he was always an outdoors type person, and he found that and applied for, I guess. But anyway, they hired him to do this TV show called Ozark Outdoors,
Remember it real well. Mhm.
and he did that for several years. In fact, he did that until he retired.
Uh-huh.
They were opposites.
They were.
Bill was high academic. Jim was an outdoor guy.
Yeah, yeah. You just had lunch today with a sister too, and
Yes.
Yeah.
tell us about her.
She's, I guess, about 10 years younger than I am. Is it 10? Somewhere.
Yeah.
And she lives in Aurora,
Okay.
and here again, I don't see her that often.
Yeah, right.
We enjoyed having lunch with her today.
Sure. How many siblings did you have, and how many are still
We
alive?
had 5 to start with.
Yeah.
Now there's there's 2 left. My 2 younger sisters
And you.
and me. So
Barely.
that's 3 out of 5 still here.
Yeah, yeah.
I lost an older sister just recently,
Mhm.
and my brother, he's been gone probably
Several years. Because
several years. He was
we were doing the memorials over there at the park.
Park,
So
yeah.
we put in
And Neva, you're out of your, how many was it? 10
10.
children?
There's 5.
5 left, 5 gone, 5 left.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good. I mean, they've got to all be, I guess, in their 80s, probably.
No.
No? Okay. Oh, that's right. Carol's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Carol's
yeah,
not.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I suppose Shirley's not. I
Yeah,
have to think
yeah.
about that.
her older sister is in the nursing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We went there yesterday. Went to two nursing homes yesterday. That was not our most fun day.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. But your mother
It
lived
was
to be quite old. didn't
Almost 98.
she? Yeah, that's what I
And
thought.
she had a hard life, but
Yeah.
she was well taken care of after all the kids got grown.
I remember going to her funeral and the poems that she
Oh yeah, she
very
was always
fluid with
very
writing and yeah.
Somehow she was pretty much an intellectual.
Yeah, yeah.
My sisters would say, "How does Mom know that?" They come home from college, they were getting degrees in chemistry and biology and math and all that, and they'd say something about something, and Mom would. They said, "How does she know that?"
Right, right, right.
So
Wow.
she was
Sure.
interested, I'll say.
So what all did you all do growing up in the Seymour area? Like, as children, did you have friends you played with, play ball, or were you didn't do things on like obviously worked on the farm and then went to, I guess, Seymour Elementary? No, you went to Liberty School or the
I went to Nation School,
Nation.
Liberty Church,
Liberty Church. And then when did you go to Seymour, start at Seymour School?
freshman.
Freshman, okay. So
And
eight
he hit me
grades
with a
at
paper
Nation.
wad. That was the first
Okay,
romantic
okay.
thing he ever did.
Did you go to a country school and then Seymour as well?
No, I started off at the Seymour School.
Okay.
And went 12 years there.
Yeah, okay.
And managed to, I did graduate as a salutatorian.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And I spent a lot of my time with a girlfriend at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's a
We
lot
did-
younger. She's a lot younger than you.
But just 1 year.
1 year.
She's still a year younger than I am.
Still,
Yeah.
she never has caught up. Well,
It wasn't. We didn't have a car. We didn't have any money, and we didn't have any place to go.
Yeah.
So we stayed totally out of trouble.
yeah, yeah.
And we'd eat lunch together at the cafeteria, and then we'd walk around the square and have time to get back to class. So Saturday night, we're going to go to the Seymour alumni, and it's in the cafeteria. He said, "Well, do you want to walk around the square?"
Yeah. Be a
That's
little
what we
longer
always
walk now,
did.
probably. The old school that you all attended, it's probably not.
Didn't it burn?
Did it burn? Okay.
I guess.
Yeah.
The brick building.
Yeah. Yeah. So the you got drafted or did you join the service?
I joined to prevent the draft.
Right.
I was on the list to be called.
So what year did you graduate from high school?
55.
55.
Mhm.
And Neva, you were 56 then. And then was it right after high school when you got the call or decided to?
Well, I didn't get a call, but it was.
Yeah.
My number wasn't very good, and I knew I'd probably have to go.
Right, right,
So I wanted to go while I had a choice,
right.
and I joined the Air Force hoping to get some training that might be worthwhile.
And he did.
Now
Hold on.
Korea was just about over by then, right?
Korea was over, and it was just before Vietnam started.
Mhm.
So he lucked out and he got a lot of good. He took every class he could get, and he'd end up being high score in the class,
Sure.
end up teaching it. And he said that's when he really learned it.
Yeah.
So he learned electrical systems, hydraulic systems,
Mhm.
Because of this,
recips and jets. He learned a lot of systems, which helped him keep old cars running all the years.
Absolutely, yeah. And helped Randy on his plane.
Yeah, right. Helped build
Did
the
you
airplane.
spend time at the honor camp or what was
No.
before the, okay.
no, they decided to keep me as an instructor. So most of
in
my
Texas?
Yeah, in Texas.
Okay.
I spent 4 years in Texas. Started out with basic training. I went to Wichita Falls for a couple of years, and I worked with reciprocating aircraft. Spent a lot of time sitting on a B-25 running those engines.
That's why he's hard of hearing.
I wear hearing aids now. And then from there, I went to Amarillo for another 2 years, and I worked with the jet bombers. It was at that time the B-47 was the top-notch bomber,
Mhm.
but it was replaced by the P-52. So
Right. That was the same era that my uncles Bob and E.L. Rose both were in the
Yeah.
Air Force, but they went to Kirksville.
Yeah.
That's where they spent their time.
But it was, as far as learning technical things and how to make repairs on those, that was good because you could apply it to an automobile or a tractor.
Right. Mm-hmm.
A lot of this is
Sure.
similar
Sure.
process.
Sure.
He would crew chief a plane. That's pretty responsible when that plane's going to go in the air.
Right.
Yeah, you have to sign off that it's ready to go.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a kid, you know.
Oh my goodness. Hang on just a minute. I want to make sure that we are. I never got a response back. I just needed to make sure we're okay here. I apologize for this, but it's what happens when you don't have your experts with you.
Can you edit this?
Hey, do you know if we're going live here? Can you tell?
I'll check that.
Okay. I didn't know if you had to do that link or if it automatically would be out there.
It should be because you pressed search.
And then I hit play on the music. I mean, it appears like it's all good, but I just want to make sure.
Nice of you to do.
We're good. All right. Okay. And then can you do that link like you do for us?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks, buddy. Bye. That was our producer, Logan Fraker, and he's in school. So we had to check in with him there, make sure things were good. Nope, sorry, we can't edit, Bill. So
Well,
so far you haven't said anything that's
we've been truthful.
yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
You're not asking anything.
More than
embarrassing.
anybody wants to know, probably.
It might surprise you. Might surprise you. People are, everybody has a story. And I think when people that know people have known people like they have you or many others, it's interesting to see what made them who they are, in my opinion. There's some key that unlocks some things to be able to have a successful life, 67 years, tremendous health, 3 brilliant children, and now you have brilliant grandchildren, and somebody's doing something right. And I think
Well,
that's
we've
worthy
been
of sharing.
We've
Okay.
been blessed.
I know you have. I know you have.
We've been.
And this gives you an opportunity to admit that and tell people
we
that.
have been truly
Right.
blessed out of just
Yes.
total goodness.
Yes.
It's not. It's just day to day,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. There's usually something like faith,
Yeah. Oh, certainly.
family.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of reasons for
Well,
that.
we were big on honesty,
Mhm.
and that's one reason I stayed home and wouldn't let anybody else babysit my kids.
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody to teach them to lie.
Right.
So I've got 3 honest kids.
Yeah.
And now I've been so lucky to get to have my great grandkids quite a bit. We
Right.
pick them up from school about 4 days a week, usually, and get to take them to gymnastics, and maybe 1 or 2, was 2 nights a week, take them various things, and so I get to be with them. And boy, I'm tickled for that time. I'm going to lose them right away. They're moving to Portland.
Yeah.
Because she's becoming a high-tech surgeon, and it's called interventional radiology. If anybody has to have surgery, they should look into getting it done by an interventional radiologist, because it's a highly technical surgery with less invasion. And the original heart surgery, where they split the chest open. So many heart surgeries are done now by the interventional radiology method, going
Through the
up
vein. It's amazing.
an artery.
Really
And
is
so this is what she's specializing in now.
Yeah.
So
you served some time with Uncle Sam and got some education, and then you come back, and then wasn't too long you guys decided to make. Now I assume you long distance dated the whole time that you were gone, the 4 years.
wrote
U.S. mail.
Yeah.
You didn't have telephone.
Didn't email.
We still have all the letters, and
You
you'd
do
be
have.
surprised how small the postage stamps were.
Oh.
Well,
When-
they were
when-
Now
three
are they all rated where people could read them? All your
Well,
grandkids?
we were pretty innocent kids, yeah. Yeah, they're pretty boring. We read a few of them and just laughed.
That's great.
I don't
like
think the book would sell if we put them on it.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
Well, you could name the book Virtue or something, or Virtuous or something.
But
So how long was it then after you got out that you decided to get married?
he didn't get out.
We got married while I was in. the
Oh, while
Army.
you were in. Okay,
Yeah,
I
I
see.
was with him
I
2
see.
years.
Oh, see, 2 years. Okay.
That was a big transplant for me.
Oh yeah. So you went down there.
She,
Yeah.
she is 2 years was a.
I got you.
I don't know what you call it. She was married to a GI.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
and what town was that?
Amarillo. And
Way out there.
my most interesting job was working for a guy that had a family that had oil wells and um, feed storage, grain
Uh-huh,
storage and various businesses.
Yeah.
Silos.
And I was the only girl in their office. They had a bookkeeper. And when I quit to come home, after I went right back to my same job at the courthouse, I didn't miss a day's
So you'd
work
worked
from
at the
Friday.
courthouse
Yeah,
while
I
you
worked
was
at the
first in
courthouse
service.
out of high school.
Which office?
A recorder.
Recorder. Okay. Who
And
was the
I came-
recorder?
Don Davis.
Don Davis. Okay.
And I went back to the same job. It just happened to work out. Didn't miss a day's work from Friday to Monday. And, but after a couple of months, they called me, both of the guys, and begged us to move back. We'll get Bill a job. Come on and just come back.
Oh
they,
yeah.
They hired 2 people and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I really was treated well.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we've been treated well in Texas
Sure.
all the way.
So that was about 59 by then,
Mhm.
58 or 9.
59.
And so you came back, and then did you immediately get on Show Me then?
No, I worked, I guess, nearly 2 years for Royal McPhee in
Uh
Springfield.
huh.
He was one of the first.
Big. That was a big
Yeah,
company.
on East Sunshine Street there,
Yeah.
putting together typewriter carrying cases, which is,
Yeah.
the faster you did it, the more money you made.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have lived very long if he had to continue.
I
to do
wouldn't
that.
either.
But
Actually.
then I got a job at Show Me and was happy to do that. Of course, we were living in Marshfield the whole time.
Yeah, I see.
And
You want to tell him what your first pay was per hour?
yes, $1.54 an hour.
$1.54 in
At
59.
Show Me Power.
And I
He
started
got a
off
few raises.
at the bottom of the stack as
Yeah.
as a mail carrier.
Uh-huh.
And
Who hired you?
Henry Coleman.
Henry Colmeyer. Did you know the guys there much, or
Not
Not
much.
Not
much.
really.
I knew Henry, sort
church or something?
because we knew him through church.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I guess he wanted to hire a little boy that was a Christian.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Anyway,
4 years of service, and
Yeah.
you learned a lot there.
and,
What a deal.
Well, he was teaching Sunday school and all
Yeah.
I taught Sunday school while I was in the service.
for the young people.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And where did you live initially? And you probably didn't build your new house immediately.
no, we
rented a house
there
somewhere.
was
Earl Rush.
Earl Rush had a triple garage and an apartment above it that they built for her father.
Out there
And
by
it was
where the
a really
Casey's is.
Neat
Yeah.
apartment
Yeah.
to live in. We loved it there. And then
Mhm.
I don't know whether it was a year or 2 years, and we built.
Yeah.
And over there where we wanted to stay forever.
Right.
I told Bill many times I want to die right here in this house, not anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But Susie began to want us to move to Texas, and Bill said, I don't want to leave home either, but I think it's the right thing to do because we know how it is. We had to do a lot to take care of his dad and my dad and my stepdad and then my mother.
sure.
And so we know you can stay in your home a lot longer if you have somebody checking in on you
Yeah.
pretty regularly.
Right. Right.
So we feel awfully glad that we're there. We loved it here. We love to come home, and we're pretty emotional about quite a bit of home.
Yeah.
A lot of people are gone.
Yeah.
But we're glad we're here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you made the right choice as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, you've been there.
I have. I've seen it. I've seen it now. So
We've got a pretty good situation.
yes, you do. And to have your daughter just around the corner almost.
Yeah.
And so you established your new home there on Bedford Street, and then the children started coming, right?
Right, and we had the Horseshoe Kitchen neighborhood, and we had the best neighborhood
Right
anybody
next
could
to
ever
old
have.
Gene Thomas,
Mhm.
Joe and
Joe
Billy
Joe.
Arthur. And
Yeah.
my grandma and grandpa Roast
Orvin
were
and
across the street.
Sylvester.
Mhm.
We were in a real beautiful neighborhood.
It was.
It was fabulous. And we did start the horseshoe pitching. I mean, across the street, Orvin made a lot available, Orvin Davis. And we, every evening
Yeah.
by 5:30, there was horseshoe pitching started. So everybody bring their lawn chairs.
Yeah.
We visited.
I got a mercury vapor light out of Showme's trash pile.
And he was
And put it together, and we put it up out there.
I remember the court, or
Yeah.
the,
Yeah.
whatever you call it.
You
Court.
probably showed up over there to your folks.
Yeah, I was a little guy, but I sure did. Yeah,
Kids running everywhere.
Dad, we, of course, in 65, we built over in the Fraker edition, and then Dad and EL and Lee Murphy and all them built a court over there. And do you ever remember the two sides getting together and pitching?
Oh,
Time or two, they did
tournaments.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did that a
tournaments.
time or two. Yeah, and it was kind of neat.
yeah.
So tell us about your kids. So Randy was the first one.
Yeah, and he's a pretty high-tech computer.
Mm-hmm.
He's really a good resource for their company. It's in all states. He helped put it in all states. And
What company is it? What's the name of the company?
I don't know.
NISC was the last time.
Last
Okay,
I
yeah.
remember, they merge and so.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they,
He lives in the St. Louis area,
yeah,
Chesterfield.
and his hobby, well, he still plays his saxophones, and he's not played his banjo for quite a while, but he is into those airplanes, and he built one, flies it to Texas, beautiful little plane. He totally built it, rivets and started with metal,
Yeah.
and now he's purchased a plane car called the Switchblade, but it's not off the assembly line.
Samson.
Samson, Samson Switchblade. Beautiful little plain car.
Yeah.
You can drive your car out to the airport and take off.
Yeah.
Fly it. So it's kind of
Will
crazy.
Will they become more popular in the future?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They'll have to regulate where they fly if they get very many.
Pretty much George Jetson deal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It very definitely is. It looks it too.
Kind of like
So-
a June bug.
Yeah.
It looks.
But he's real good to feed the homeless. He's got some of that.
Yeah.
He's on 2 boards to try to help homeless people, and he has helped get them reemployed. And I'm really proud of
Sure.
what they do.
And he
And-
married a Seymour girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michelle McLean.
McLean, yeah.
Yeah, and so Wayne could retire now, Actors Equity Union
Mhm.
from Broadway. So we were proud for him because when you have a kid that says they're going to try for Broadway, you say a lot of prayers.
Well, he's got a lot of talent, a lot of ability,
But
obviously.
so does so many thousands
Oh,
of
yeah.
others.
Yeah.
So he has made it. He
Mhm.
could retire now, and but has a real good contract with Wicked, real good contract.
And that,
And,
tell them about Wicked, just so. When
what
you
now?
say Wicked, tell the audience
Oh,
who's
Wicked is a Broadway play that's been real hot,
Yeah.
and he's doing the tour by choice because the contract he has, even though he's had a chance to look at going into Broadway, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He wants to keep doing what he's doing, not because he likes to travel, but because he likes the money he's making.
Yeah, and the Wicked shows have been running
He's been in it 12 years.
12 years, yeah.
And it's scheduled to run at least
Well, we shouldn't tell, but
Oh.
all we know, but it's good for quite a
2025
while, let me tell.
Yeah. Good.
So he
Yeah.
thinks he can stay with it as long as he wants to
Good.
kind of build that in his retirement. Then he plans to move down near us, but we're not the attraction. Susan and Flame are the attraction. They do a lot of things.
You're a bonus.
We probably
He
won't
can
be
still come
around.
over and get a homemade pie or something sometime, can't he?
Likes to sail with them. And
Yeah.
they do sailing different
Sure.
places in the world. And then they're going to do a safari in Africa in September, I believe it is.
Right.
Kind of scares me, but anyway,
Yeah.
he has a good time with them,
Sure.
and he knows all their friends.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
especially when he was there he stayed with us during COVID, and so he spent quite a
'Cause
bit
he
of
actually
time.
lives in New York City when he's
He-
not on the road.
He owns a condo in Manhattan,
Manhattan.
and he'll have to live there a while, I think, due to tax laws, to avoid part of the tax for the gain on the
Capital gain tax.
capital
stuff.
gain
Yeah,
tax.
yeah,
And so, but as soon as he meets that qualification, he's going to buy down
Right,
there.
right.
He knows all the housing market down there. He said that's
Yeah.
a hobby. I look all the
yeah.
time.
And then your little girl, talk about her.
Oh, well, she's still a laugh a minute, but she was named top family practice doctor in the Bay Area
Wow.
last spring. Her husband's named top doc in Houston, which is a pretty big territory.
Right.
In pediatric critical care, and 3 of his 5 specialties last year. So he's a pretty good doctor.
Absolutely.
They're both pretty good doctors.
But they live there in the Bay, close to you, and
Yeah,
then
10
he
minutes.
drives into town, into
Yeah.
Houston to work every
Yeah,
day, and
they wanted to live on the
Yeah.
water, and they do.
yeah, and she just lives close to her work there.
Yeah,
That
real
clinic.
close.
Yeah.
And then our granddaughter, Randy's oldest, moved near us too, and they're both doctors.
Uh-huh.
But like I say, we've had them for some really good years, but they're moving on, and he can work from anywhere. And
Mhm.
he'll read radiology and mainly nuclear med, and he could read from home, and he'll work from home, and he'll be working for a company out of the southeast part of the country.
Wow.
The country he's changing to that, and
Now they have
he's
3
been
children.
on faculty at the med school, and they have 2 little ones.
Okay,
and
Randy
then
has 3 though.
Randy
right?
had
Yeah.
3. And then the second one is music. Wayne says she's more talented than he is.
Is that right?
And I would say she probably is. She can write music and nothing flat. She has her master's. She focused on voice in her first degree. And then she went to Valencia, Spain, which is the best place for
Music technology.
music technology. So you could use her for all kinds of hookups. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And so now one of the things, just a sideline, she's doing music therapy. She's certified in all that, and has taught that to other students in Boston University. And because they have to do it's not a residency, but a
Sure,
6-month
yeah.
something, and they would assign so many students to her every semester to teach the practical side of it. And she's done a lot of things. But anyway, one of the things, since she lived in Boston, she knows some people there, and there's a grant that they're working on. I think this is so interesting. I don't know what they'll find in this study, but she's writing songs for people who've, say, lost a child and are grieving.
Oh, wow.
They have her call the parents and visit with them, and then she writes a song. And so far, all the grieving people have loved her song.
Oh, that's neat.
And they're all
Yeah.
very different.
Yeah.
They tell, maybe it's a teenage boy, and they tell
Yeah.
what kind of music he liked.
Customizes
and,
it.
she
That's really neat.
customizes
That
every
really is
song,
neat.
and she can just do it in days.
Yeah.
And then not only does she write it, she sings it, she
Mhm.
plays the music, and then she can add all the tracks she
Yeah.
wants,
Yeah.
and
That's great.
sings them. And I said, Angie, this song's so beautiful. You should record this for real as your song. She said, oh no, this is their song.
Yeah.
I wrote this for them. And she
that-
won't do that. I said, you could change it a little.
Mhm.
And no, Grandma, I can write another song.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that.
Every song is
It's
new and special.
totally
Gotcha.
different. And so far, the people have loved it. So that's
bet.
really interesting. And then our grandson is, her husband has that same master's degree.
He does.
Yeah. And they can set up for bands, and he's doing a lot of that. And she does some of that. And then they also do music tech for churches.
Yeah.
I think she has one of the bigger Methodist churches in Houston,
Let's see.
and that she does music tech for. So it's another area.
Yeah.
She said she's trying to. Reason she did that was to save her voice,
Yeah.
because you can ruin your
But
voice.
she lives down there too.
She lives in
Okay.
in Houston,
In Houston. Yeah.
and
Wow.
she was down in our area today and called me while we were having lunch.
Yeah.
So
And then you have the third is a grandson.
grandson,
Yeah.
and
What's he
he's
do?
in Denver,
Uh-huh.
and his is biology chemistry, and he works in a lab.
Wow. Okay. Is he
So-
married?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
But anyway, we're real proud of them all. And
I
then
bet you are.
Those little ones,
Yeah, there's two of
Lisa
those.
Jonas, they're
Yeah.
2nd and 4th grade, and that's.
And you've been kind of helping.
Oh,
helping keep
we've
them quite a
enjoyed
bit. Yeah.
having them a
Yeah.
lot, and it's really fun. So we're gonna. Carol, my sister Carol Singer, is giving me quilt blocks that need to be put together, and they're feed sack quilt blocks, beautifully done. Said you need something. And those kids leave.
Right,
Besides my music, I work on music all the time
Sure.
for the dances.
Sure.
Because I play for.
Well, let's
music
back
for
up and talk a little bit about the kids growing up on Bedford Street in the '60s. And you mentioned horseshoe pitching, but you know there was. I know in school you were very involved in PTA.
Oh yeah.
Might be the president several years, or at least
No, I
involved a
never
lot.
was president,
I
but
knew
I
you
would
were
do
involved.
the fundraisers
Yeah.
and things. Did a lot.
Yeah.
But my big thing was band and choir.
Yeah.
And
I
she
was
was
the
on the
booster
school
chairman.
board too.
Yes,
Oh, we
I
don't
was
talk
I was
about
going to
that.
mention that. As a matter of fact, there weren't very many ladies that had been on the board. I think Georgie Ventling was the first one, if I'm not mistaken. Dorothy Birchfield was after her, and then maybe
I had never thought about that.
Virginia Bryce, and then I think you might have been right in, and then Joe Walker came maybe after you or around
I
the
don't
same time.
remember.
But there wasn't
I never
many.
thought about
There
it.
wasn't many for many years until maybe the '90s.
I'd been around schools so much
Uh-huh.
with being room mother for everything.
Hmm.
And I think education really matters. And I can say my kids have competed well in the world with the best.
Absolutely.
They have
That's
competed
proven.
with the best.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Bill and I didn't teach them all this.
Yeah. Well,
So I think we had a good school system, and I thought that mattered.
Mhm.
So basically, I decided probably when Susie was little, that when she graduated, I would run for the school board, and I did, and I didn't think anymore, but I didn't want any kids in school. She was finishing up when I ran,
Yeah.
and she was out of there shortly afterwards.
Right.
You know, so I didn't want to be on the school. I wanted to just make decisions straight out,
Sure.
not have any personal anything.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's
And then
honorable.
Bill, he ran for city board and we ran for school board the same day on the same
Oh,
ballot.
really? I didn't realize that.
And we both were elected to our demise, I
Was
guess.
that your first term on the city board then?
Oh, no.
I thought I was going to say, because you'd been on the board back in the '60s.
Yeah,
He's been on the board.
Yeah.
several times. In fact, one of the times I was elected as a write-in candidate, that I didn't write it in, somebody else.
Somebody else
And
did.
I voted against him.
But you still won.
Yeah, still,
That's kind of like
did. I
mine.
voted
Well, there's
against
3 or 4 votes wins or
yeah.
something. So the '60s for you, you were in your career at Show Me and doing well, moving up. So tell us a little bit about in those days, Show Me, and what you did and where you became the HR director.
Well, first 10 years I worked as an accountant in the
Yeah.
accounting department. And the machinery we had was, I had a 10-key adding machine that ran kind of like a thrasher
Yeah,
machine.
yeah.
And then I had a calculator, which is a Frieden calculator that was, it probably had 100 keys on it. And that was, couldn't do near as much as these little,
Yeah,
these little
exactly.
dinky cell phones.
Exactly.
But anyway, after that,
And they would run miles of tape.
I went to Art Rhodes's department. He was PR, I guess is what you'd call it
Yeah.
at the time.
But they made an HR department, and that's when he came.
Yeah, they decided that, well, not too long after that, they wanted somebody to take care of human resources.
Because there's a lot of federal reports.
Becoming a big deal.
And
back
it was a function that the accounting department was doing parts of it, and maybe the other departments were too. We had to organize that into one group. And I
Because of
became
federal
the
laws.
manager of the human resources for
Mhm.
the next 40 years.
Right.
Because you had to report that you were hiring the right percentage of this and that.
Absolutely. That civil
And-
rights movement at all.
And
made
it was
in effect.
ongoing reports like that, and that was the stimuli.
Then you had ADA follow that in the 80s. A lot of
Yeah,
stuff
well,
they would do.
yes, and we had the REA, which is federal, and we had to comply with what they liked. and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah, which included the urban areas, which had to have a lot more stuff than you probably did, but you had to do it because it was all uniform.
Mhm.
Who was the general manager in those days?
Charlie Bolson,
Yes, Mr. Bolson.
C.E. Bolson,
Uh-huh.
and Howard Filmer was our main engineer.
Hmm.
And let's see what else. Anyway, it went that way for quite a while.
Yeah.
John Holland was another one that
Mhm.
lived here. That
Good man.
there are several people there. We had about 100 employees at that time. I
Yeah.
think time I left, there was probably 150, but they're still
I would imagine.
taking care of the south central part of Missouri and more. We had the high voltage transmission lines and electric substations. And from there, we would distribute or sell power to the various communities, like the cities or the local co-ops. Webster Electric was one of our members, and we furnished power for them. And we'd have 4 or 5 substations that they would come to get power from us and take to their customers. But anyway, I think that concept is still the same today. But of course, it's got to be much larger
Absolutely.
as far as how many kilowatt hours they say.
And of course, you guys also had the city of Marshfield. You were the retail outlet for city.
Yeah,
of
we had a
Marshfield.
little bit of distribution systems.
Yeah.
Show Me was developed or organized from what was originally back in the 1930s was called Missouri Electric, and it was a private owned it wasn't REA, it was just a private owned
Yeah.
outfit that owned the power systems in the various towns like Marshfield and Seymour and Mountain Grove. Each city would have their own power system and maybe a diesel generator sitting there to furnish themselves power. They weren't interconnected with high lines or anything like that.
No grid.
No grid. And that changed. We would string power, high voltage lines between these various places. We took out most of the diesel plants and furnished the electricity we generate with steam plants and or hydro. And from there it grew to what it is today. And I've been gone 12, 13 years now. I really don't know how much it's changed since I left.
But in the 50 years, and then when they did Show Me Technologies, it was hiring all those people.
Oh yeah.
But I was born and raised in a house that didn't have electricity.
You were.
Yeah, and
Oh, I didn't
Neva
have-
was
You
too.
did.
I didn't have electricity till I was 12. He got it a year before I did,
Yeah.
but he was also 12.
Wow.
And his farm was that close to town.
Yeah.
But REA, rural electrification, that was a Roosevelt program. And that was one that totally paid the government back. It was the one government program that I know of that was to help people
Yeah.
that actually got paid back.
Well, it was a
in
true
full,
cooperative.
As far as we
It was
know.
a true cooperative. I mean, it was the people coming together.
Sure, and it is a cooperative in that respect. If there's any profit made, it goes back to the
Right.
people
Yeah.
that paid for the bills.
We get
Bill
our
did a
little
lot
check
of
and you
different things, and he did video. When I thought it was kind of far out when they bought video equipment. Of course, it was big and
Yeah.
large and heavy and expensive, very expensive. We could do with a cell phone, but when I thought that doesn't make sense, spend that kind of money, but they had a huge torrential rain
Tornadoes, really.
and tornadoes and took out a bunch of power lines, and it was so muddy you couldn't get in. But that very evening when the storm cleared, Bill was in Sky 3 helicopter hanging out of the side of it.
Recording it.
Yeah, there was 5 miles of line that was on the ground.
Yeah.
And I flew right over that with taking pictures of it, and then took it back to Howard Filmer in the engineering department at Show Me.
That night.
And they could look at that and design for what they needed in the way of
Absolutely.
material.
Put
Made
the
sense.
supplies in
They
there,
knew
and
how many poles and what size and all the other stuff that was
Right.
with it.
it
And
paid.
they placed the order, and it was at that time you wouldn't think it today you wouldn't think of it as very much, but it was costing us $30,000 an hour for every hour that thing laid on the ground.
Even
For
back
5
then,
miles of wire.
Yeah.
even back then, 30,000.
Back then, so it was important to get it up just quick and
Absolutely.
good.
So the video was a good idea.
Absolutely.
So because of course, Ken was a real good pilot, Ken Carroll,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd flown in Korea.
Yeah.
And he flew sideways right over the wire, right over the real low, so Bill could get really
Yeah.
in there and get good video, so Howard could decide.
I had
It
a
was
strap,
risky.
I had a strap. hooked
I
to
didn't know
it.
you did that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
mean, I knew
did a
you
lot
did
of-
video recording. I didn't know you did that in the helicopter.
He did a lot of
Well, you know,
videos of, like he did video on Marshfield to try to get
yes, I
industries.
was getting ready to say, I've seen those and
Well,
obviously.
we recently had that converted, had a guy convert that to, did we give you a copy?
Yeah, but
Okay.
Logan or Landon took it back to
Yeah.
to show me.
Good,
Yeah.
good, good.
But even back in the, like during the centennial, I know, I've got a piece of film, a reel-to-reel film of the,
Parade?
I don't have the parade, I have the play. And it's all sound. It's not video, it's sound, but it's on reel-to-reel.
Mhm.
And it was done by someone at Show Me Power. I'm pretty sure because it had Show Me's name on the box, and
Well, it's
I
probably
just
our
came-
equipment. Now,
Yeah.
I would edit stuff and
Yeah.
what have you, but
that would have been before you even the centennial. So
Yeah,
well,
just on that sound.
we didn't have video.
because he was in the
until I was
military.
there.
Yeah.
And then they got all that new equipment
Yeah.
back, I don't know, but then every manager, after Bill did Marshfield, trying to get industries to
Yeah,
come to
yeah.
town so people would have jobs. He did that volunteer extra
Mhm.
time on Saturdays and Sundays and nights and edited. He got Charlie Bolson and Jack Waters to help write the script.
Yeah.
And then he got John Thompson, who had a great voice,
Absolutely.
to
Well,
read it.
you know, Show
read
Me
the
had the
script.
technology, you had the folks were educated, you know, engineers and what have you. You had people that could do that kind of thing if they had the money to get equipment, and Show Me would have. I mean, it made sense for a
Yeah.
community.
Well, Bill just had to learn.
Yeah.
And he did. Of course, he's
But he was
been
smart
pretty
enough
technical.
Yeah.
He was at
Yeah.
that time. I don't know.
He had the,
He still does pretty well.
yeah.
Um,
So the 60s
but
were,
then all the towns
yeah.
would want all the outlying areas that are members. They'd say, "Oh, we'll cover our hospital, cover our town." So
Right.
Bill would spend a lot of Saturdays that way,
Hmm.
getting film.
You guys, 60s and 70s were good times for your family. You grew, you got your kids graduated and so forth. And of course, in 1968, the Rotary Club started in Marshfield. You were a charter member,
Yes.
He's the only living charter member.
only living charter member.
That's still a member.
Tell us a little bit about Rotary, and then Geneva, you came in later and joined it.
Well, it was a group of us got together, and the Rotary Club in Lebanon was kind of the mother of the thing. They came down and sponsored us and helped us. This is what you need to do, or this is what Rotary is. And we decided we liked it and we wanted the club here. So after we got, I think we had to have a minimum of 20 members to start with. And we proceeded to get people to sign up for this, and we became a club. This was organized in, I forget.
68.
68, I think.
I had the Rotary, the history of
I
it.
think it was September or
Yeah.
October, somewhere in there. But anyway, it was the first time or when we were organized, and of course, it's been going ever since.
Yeah, yeah. You guys took on lots of projects, the park, the pavilion at the park, the playground equipment. You did painted fire hydrants. You did a lot of things around town. Very involved. And then you tell us about Rotary Ann, and then
I was
become a
Rotary
member.
Ann.
Tell us-
And,
tell us about the Rotary Park.
We're getting to that. Yeah.
Well, when I joined, that was kind of a shock to some people. The president of the club just
Before
asked
you
me.
joined, you had Rotarians. Those were
Yeah,
the wives
yeah.
of Rotarians,
Yeah,
right?
and
Which
I
was,
always, there
which was a
wasn't
sponsored club or
and
not
there
a club,
wasn't
a
a
group.
project they had, like
Yeah.
working at the fairground kitchen. I worked every project we had, but it was a shock to some.
Yeah.
When the president invited me to join, I told her I don't want to be the only one that joined. Be sure and invite Mary Ruth, and I think she came once, but she realized it wasn't popular.
It
But
was still a
Bill-
good old boys club. Is that
Bill
what you're
told
saying?
me that, when there was a little bit of a resistance to a woman joining, Bill said, he wouldn't let me pull my name out. I said, oh, I don't need this. I don't need this.
Yeah.
So, and Bill said, no, I want to find out what I belong to. You don't have to join, but you have to leave your name in there. So I left my name in, and I told one of the guys, I'm not going to join, but I'm leaving. He said, oh, yes, you are. He said, we're not going through this, and you not join. And so I've been a member ever since, and
Yeah,
where Paul
yeah.
Airsparrow was and all.
Right.
So, but then we did a lot with the trees.
Absolutely.
A lot.
You joined around the late 80s, probably. Somewhere in there,
I would
early
say
90s.
90. Stan Whiter's
Yeah.
the only one that's been, besides Bill,
Yeah.
that's been a member longer than
Okay.
me.
Okay.
And so I think he was 91, and I was right behind him.
Gotcha. And then, of course, you, now were you working?
Yeah.
You still, okay, after
Yeah,
the kids
I was
graduated?
managing.
You'd already started the Penn Mac.
After
Yeah.
they left home, I opened that office.
Tell us about that, the Penn Mac job.
Well, I turned it down 4 times before I took
But
it.
You knew Patty Penny,
Yeah,
you were old
and,
schoolmates, right?
And anyway, I loved the people. I loved all my clients. I just loved them all. And I loved I don't care what they were. You could see something good in everybody.
Sure.
And I just loved the people.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of good people. So I really actually hired probably thousands.
Right.
Because I've sent them into Springfield too. And, but anyway, no, it was kind of a natural thing for me, but I decided to quit, and I did.
Yeah.
And told everybody, wrote a letter, said I'm going home to plant trees, and that's what
you did. But Penn Mac, she started that company in Springfield, but you were right soon. I mean, you kind of, the Marshfield office was pretty quick after it started, right? Like
She might have been
she
there.
developed into lots of
She
offices.
might have
but
been into
you were
3
right.
years, but
Yeah.
we got a lot of business.
Yeah.
We doubled pretty quick.
Yeah. But
We
you
did
guys
well.
had went to,
I did really
you grew
well.
up in elementary school.
And I had good help
Yeah.
in the office too.
Mhm.
So, yeah. But anyway,
So
it
you
was,
were in
it was a
Rotary.
natural for me
Yeah.
because you were helping people find who they needed to help them get
Right.
the work done, and you were helping people find a job. And
Well, it's,
transportation, people have to drive a long ways for jobs here. And we were really committed to trying to get jobs in Marshfield.
mhm.
And
Well, that's a thriving business today. I mean, the school uses them. I mean, it's used by so many companies. And there's
Well-
other companies besides Penn Mac that do that
Yeah,
work
I know.
too. Yeah.
Right.
So you
very
you joined
competitive.
Rotary, and then again you took on.
That's when I was manager.
Yeah,
Then you had to be a manager
Right.
to join Rotary.
And then I joined. I know Bill, you came over to Walmart. I was running the Walmart store. You came to me and said, "Hey, won't you consider Rotary and go with me?" And you bought my lunch that first day, and that was in '97. And we took over the Easter egg hunt. We took that back. It had been, various places,
Neglected.
and we took that on and worked together on that. And then of course Rotary Park. We began the project of putting in the walking trail. That was kind of the I believe it was the Paul Harris Centennial Project, we called it, in '05.
The pavilion came in about that
Yeah,
time,
yeah,
too.
it was already there. You guys had
Oh,
done that
okay,
before
well,
me, the
done that.
pavilion.
We've done
but-
the pavilion long before.
Yeah,
And
and
Bill,
the playground equipment, but we were doing some upgrades to the playground.
this was the third set of playground equipment, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Maybe.
Third set. The first one was a wooden one.
I think you're right.
The Rotaries put in.
So after we got the trail in, then
I
You-
asked you,
you
don't you want
decided-
some shade on the trail?
Yeah.
And you said,
you
yeah.
totally instigated that, and I think it's worthy of talking about it because it's like you've always said, what's the quote? You don't appreciate a tree till you're gone, till the next generation, or well, there's a quote that you
I
used to
forget.
say,
I
yeah,
mean, I
something
forget.
along that line. Why do you plant a tree?
Yeah.
Well, it's for the future generations, not for
Yeah,
you.
it's not. Yeah, there's a very famous quote
But
indicating that.
you began that, and it was a huge project, and uh,
Yeah,
Tree
I
City
wrote the
USA
grants.
was also
We
coming in.
organized Nick
Uh-huh.
Inman, Nicholas Inman, who's one of the best workers you ever found for organizing anything. We worked on becoming a Tree City
Yeah,
USA
that's
and
what it was.
met all the criteria, and that helped because I wrote all the grants, and being a Tree City USA helped me get
Mhm.
grants. And would you believe that I got 3,700 trees for various like little country churches in town, some for the school.
I went to St. Louis one time and hauled some back for you.
Oh yeah, you've done that. I had to call on everybody to help. Everybody got running
You
and
had a
helping me.
really good gal that you worked with the Department of Conservation.
Cindy
Yeah,
Garner.
she was
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, she would probably do like I did when I rolled into town and saw they cut the those river birch, that we put them on both sides of the trail so that there'd be a shady canopy.
Right.
And it was to be a shady canopy. And they cut them on this side of the trail. And someone said, well, there was a disease that that killed a lot of birch trees. Well, it didn't kill them on the other side of the trail, so I didn't buy that.
Only kill them on that side.
Just on the south side of the trail.
That's pretty good.
20
So
foot away.
I mean, I'm not very smart, but I caught it. And I don't know who made that decision to come in there, but the stumps are about as high as this table, and some of them are sprouting up from the root. I'm not buying that I was told they were all dead. But anyway, all you had to do is trim out inside, and the bicyclists could ride right through there. And it would have been we had a plan. The urban forester and I came up with a plan for everything that would work, and everything was considered. I'm real proud of the Ellis Jackson. I loved Ellis Jackson. He planted a lot of trees down at
He was
Ellis
doing
Jackson
that back
Park.
in the 60s and 70s. Yeah,
way back.
he was.
And there's big trees. A lot of them came out in the ice storm. Some big trees were killed in that ice storm when Bill was in Baltimore getting cancer treatments at Johns Hopkins. I know I forget what year that was, but a lot of trees were killed. There's some huge stumps down there. But
07 was a big ice storm, I know.
Yeah,
That's when Mom and Dad
that
came and
sounds
spent a
right.
week with us,
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, I wanted to honor him before I started planting trees. So we planted, ball cypress lived like 800 years. So we planted 23 ball cypress, and nobody has weed whipped them to death. They are all
They're still there?
Well, they're
Good.
down there.
That's good news.
And Harold Bolden
Uh-huh.
was the one who chaired that section. We had 172 people show up to help
Is that
plant
down by the
those
bridge?
trees. Yeah, it's down there below the bridge. That's bald cypress, and I put a big marker a granite marker to Ellis Jackson.
Yeah.
And I'm real proud of that.
That was just a natural swamp area.
It was.
And
it
now
was.
it's
Yeah.
dry, and it isn't breeding mosquitoes in July, and
The trees are
can
helping
mow.
to absorb some of that water.
They
obviously.
grow.
Yeah.
They absorb hundreds of gallons of water
Yeah.
a day year round. So
Well-
it really dried up that section of park, and they're mowing through there beautifully now.
The
So-
bridge, of course, we started that project, and it certainly started out to be and actually, I will say this about the bridge. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, however long it's been now, hard to believe. If we would have put the wooden footbridge in that we intended to, like they had at the Dickerson Park Zoo, it would probably would have already had to be replaced.
And that was still there.
So in looking back now, the bridge that's there was a worthwhile project, and even though it was
the city thought
a
they
little
needed to be
strenuous,
able to drive
Yeah.
a vehicle
Well-
across it. We didn't think so.
we had to have it engineered, and the engineers drew it that way, and so forth. But the whole project. 20 years later, we can look back and see that it was very successful, even though
Even
you
though a lot of
had
trees-
your moments, and
a
we
lot
all
of
did.
trees were
Yeah,
killed with the
dealing
weed
with the
whack.
stress. But I
Mm.
think now it's a beautiful park.
Hopefully
It's well
Rotary will
used.
pick that up again.
Yeah,
And that's Rotary Park.
it is.
It got named that when we were
It
working
did.
so hard
It
over
did.
there.
It did.
And so I think Rotary should pick up the trees
Yeah.
again. I didn't say so. We went to Rotary last week
Yeah.
and they were talking about stuff like that, and I didn't say so.
Of
but
course, the
either I had
civic
to say
clubs,
it.
as you know, are struggling. All of them are, as far
Yeah.
as for members and attendance, and it's
I
hard
think
for them to
that,
take on
that
huge
it's-
projects like we used to.
Yeah.
But
Well, there's always this waxing and waning of
oh yeah,
everything.
absolutely. But I think the biggest thing is just not having the manpower, and our lives are so busy, and
Yeah.
it takes so
And
much to raise a
actually,
family. They don't have the extra time,
and
seemingly.
or extra money.
Or
People-
money, right? Yeah.
People are hurting to buy
Yeah,
groceries,
exactly,
I think,
exactly.
and the cost is considerably higher
Exactly,
than it was.
exactly. But all in all, it's still a great thing to
Oh,
reflect
very
back
happy.
on, and
Oh, yeah,
absolutely to be proud of and
Oh,
be a
I'm-
part of.
I am. And
Briefly, now I told you, it's 3 minutes till 3.
okay,
I told you it'd go by fast, didn't I? But just briefly mention both of your cancer survivors,
oh,
and those were monumental things that you overcame, both of you,
well,
and have for
was-
many years now.
Yeah, mine was travel, invaded encapsulated state, was blood-borne, tend to go to bone and lung, nature was to recur, could recur at any point in the lifetime. Well, I don't think it's going to get me now.
And how many years ago was
And
that?
Susie was 6th grade, and she's about 51. So
Amazing.
it was a rare
Amazing.
form. And Bill Schroder here, my best friend,
Yeah.
took me to Mayo many, many trips, and I had possibly the best doctors, and the second surgery, possibly the best surgeon in
You
the
had the
nation.
treatments and everything.
I was taken care of.
Yeah, right.
The second surgery was, they thought I would lose my ability to speak, which probably would have made a lot of people happy.
They tried to do the surgery at Springfield
Yeah.
and failed.
Well,
Really?
I won't,
I didn't realize
pick
that.
what I-
They couldn't complete it.
Yeah.
Actually, it was, yeah. Well, they put part of it back because they were going to cut my vocal cords.
Yeah, yeah.
But we had one of the most skilled surgeons in the nation for doing what they did at
Yeah.
Mayo. And my surgeon was a sweetheart in Springfield, and I don't blame him at all. And I told him, don't you ever worry,
Yeah.
that I'm not the kind of person that sues somebody.
Right.
Don't you worry. I told him, you did the best you could on what he said. They didn't get him in a clear pathology because it was rare.
Mm.
So there was confusion on the pathology.
Mhm.
So we thought, if this is what I think it is, I better take it all out, even if it paralyzes her ability to speak.
Yeah.
But then when they couldn't determine, he thought, I'll put part of it back. I mean, it had grown a little scar tissue,
Yeah.
so it was extra challenging when Mayo got me. But here I am.
Yeah.
I've had a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of gets your attention for a while, for
Yeah.
sure. For every year, he'd take me several times a year
I know.
back to Mayo.
Yeah.
But
Bill, how
anyway,
about you?
Well, I had cancer
Mhm.
and 43 days of radiation
43.
at Johns Hopkins.
Susan said, you're coming out here.
And they lived there then.
Yeah, they
Susan
We
were
and
lived
there.
with
Blake,
them before.
And
Right. I remember that.
yeah, Blaine was working for Johns Hopkins, and Susan had a family practice
Right.
clinic.
Mhm.
But anyway, that's fine. It's
Yeah.
not come back on me since
Right.
then, so I think it's probably going to last.
Yeah, that's been 20 years ago or
Yeah.
better.
Well, it's been a little more than that.
Has it?
probably.
He checks it all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I still get it tested. But and then next I had a stroke.
And we were on the East Coast. He was driving between Annapolis, DC, and Baltimore.
And that was pretty serious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
That
I
was very
remember you were
serious.
pretty worried.
I was in hospital for 7 days, and they decided they'd let me go because I could go home and live with 2 doctors.
Yeah.
And they let
Yeah.
me go that way.
And then
Well,
they
3
wouldn't-
counting even.
And they wouldn't let him drive. They made us fly home.
Yeah.
And our daughter-in-law came out and got the car and took it home and took the kids home.
Yeah.
And we had 2 grandkids with us.
Oh,
and
really?
driving between Annapolis, DC, and Baltimore, and he had a stroke.
Oh, my.
And I mean, he was gone.
I managed to pull over and turn the key of the car off.
And so
His Lord took
he
care of
was
him
in
there.
worse shape just immediately.
Yeah.
And now he's had 2 heart attacks, but he's still dancing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Now, you had headaches for a long time.
a long time.
after
Yeah.
the yes.
Do you have headaches anymore?
No,
Good.
well, not
Not really. Yeah.
No, he's
Yeah.
really good shape.
So let's talk about dancing because we're going to have to go here, but we got to talk about dancing. So you all started dancing quite a ways back there, right?
When Susan, with our 3rd child, left home, we
Yeah.
had to do something for fun.
Right.
Because those kids were a lot of fun. We really enjoyed raising those kids. And so I went to work, but that didn't do it.
Mhm.
So we decided to do something for fun, and we took lots of dance lessons. And Bill didn't want to go, but I talked him into it, and he's as big on it as I am.
Yeah.
And
it's fun. I get to hug all the women.
Well, of course.
he only dances with me, but when I throw an evening dance, which we rent the hall, I play the music, I decorate, I do it all. And he's my prime greeter because I'm busy.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that's his assignment.
That's great. That's great. So that's been 40 years? 30, 40,
No, 30 some.
30 something. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. You know,
Less
that's
than
probably
35, I believe.
that's probably extended
we're
your
still
lives.
going.
That's probably
I'd
extended
say
your
so.
lives.
We've been mercy. We've had a lot of mercy
Oh yeah.
because he had those 2 heart attacks, and one of them should have killed him,
Yeah.
but it didn't.
I want to mention that too.
Mhm.
And I got that fixed by way of what the same process is that the individual
The intervention radio
radiology
that are
started.
Oh,
that our
your
grandmother's
grandmother's going to
doing.
get
I've got
into
a lot of stents in here. They did some to start with on the right side of the heart, which was
totally blocked.
totally blocked, 100%. And then they said, come back in 6 weeks and you've got 80 and 90% blockage on the other side. We need to take care of it.
The only
Wow.
reason he
So-
lived was that he had by nature of his genetics, this artery problem of clogging up.
Yeah.
And the body's such an amazing thing, and it developed tiny vessels which fed a little blood to that heart, but it wasn't even
Yeah.
big enough to show.
Yeah.
It looked like he was totally blocked, but there was
created
these
its own little bypass.
little tiny
I've heard of
vessels
that.
kept
Kept
enough
it
blood. He
alive.
got a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So he runs out of air, but he is
Yeah.
a good swing dancer. He can do
Yeah.
every dance.
Yeah.
And but he runs out of air. So we quit.
Now, you've got a little motto to that too, a little theme, something, but you can always dance. Something. What is it you put on?
Oh, I forget. it's my byline.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I
but
haven't typed it in a long time.
Yeah.
I just have it there.
but
Yeah,
Might as well do it, so.
yeah,
yeah, you might as well dance.
yeah.
Well, it's a remarkable.
Life may not be the party you hope for, but while you're here,
You might as well dance. That's it. Yeah.
And we've encouraged people to dance regardless of their ability. And I started that dance right after I got down there, and I saw that beautiful floor.
Mhm.
And they were not having dances. It was a beautiful room with mirrors on one wall, glass on 2 sides. We have murals painted all on the outside. It's beautiful out there. And they weren't having any dances. They said it cost too much money. I said, oh no, because you have to hire a band. I said, oh no, you don't. I'd rather have CDs any day.
Yeah.
You can get any rhythm you want.
Yeah.
And within 4 days, I became a DJ doing dances for the city of League City, and they have given me the award for initiative after a few years.
Really?
And out of 100, they give 2 awards a year. And out of 120,000 people,
Yeah.
they gave me the award of initiative.
That's great. How many come to your dance on average?
When I have an evening dance, I'll have 100.
Will you have 100 there? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Or 96
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
usually. My last dance was Celestial Ball, and a lot of them had left town to
Yeah.
go to over to where, because we weren't far
Right.
from the center of
Right.
that. And they could go 4 hours, and so a lot of mine had left town to go for the eclipse. So I just had like 69 or something like that, something in the upper 60s. And but that's still twice what a lot of the
Oh
open
my
dances.
gosh, yeah.
So we have really good luck
Yeah.
with our attendance.
Good.
And I think it's the greeter.
Well, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Who's
Well, he's genuinely a nice guy.
He
You have to
is.
admit, he is a
And
nice
he's
guy.
an innocent guy.
He's
So
just
they,
a nice
they
man.
know he's
and a good
harmless.
man. Yeah, and a good man. I mean, you can just tell, and you have a track record for that, obviously.
We've had-
Teaching Sunday school while in the military and so forth. So,
He did.
guys, it's really been fun. I appreciate this. I know you're busy. You guys are you got more stuff going on this week than you had during the festival.
Well,
It seems
we
like
had a wonderful
meeting friends.
breakfast
Yeah,
with Sosnecki
Uh-huh,
and Helen
yeah,
and,
yeah. You got to visit with your sister,
and then
uh,
we had
Yeah.
lunch in Springfield with her, and it's just click
yeah,
click.
yeah.
We really enjoyed. I knew Sosnecki from the Seymour paper,
Right.
and because he came into my office every week, and I knew him really well.
I guess he's probably fully retired now. I'm
Yeah,
assuming.
in Lebanon.
Yeah.
Oh, he's doing so much with the Route 66.
Yes.
And next year's going to be a really big year for Route 66, and the Marshfield Rotary is going to get involved.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm
you'll
on that.
need, you'll
I'm on the
need,
statewide committee, so
Okay.
and I've been talking with them. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was something that I wanted to do when I left the state, was to get on that committee. I actually had the legislation that Missouri adopted to become part of that nationally. So
great.
it's it's going to be
yeah,
fun.
I think Rotary. I think this was going to give a little boost to Rotary,
Should.
and
I think
more
so.
people will get back
Yeah.
in Rotary.
Yeah.
And I hope they do, because Rotary Club has done a lot for this town.
It has.
Just like even down at the fair, remember fixing up the kitchen?
Oh,
and
yeah,
the new
yeah.
stove and
Well, all three civic. Well, there's more than three, but
Oh, yeah.
Rotary Lions and Optimus, and then
the Lions have done a
and
lot.
then
And then the scholarships every
Mhm.
year.
right.
And
The ladies club that they met here a few months ago.
Yeah.
PEO, I believe they call it, whatever it's
well,
called.
there's
but-
another one too. I think.
Yeah. Anyway, they've all been very helpful to the community.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're fortunate that they still are active. But
Service above self
Right,
is Rotary,
right,
and so
right.
they really do serve the world.
well, again, it's been great. Appreciate you coming by. Again, everybody has a story, and you two have a remarkable story because you've been able to share your lives the way you have together, and success, not just
Mhm.
financially, but certainly with your careers, certainly raising your family, the
We've been
education that
blessed.
you've been able to provide for all of the children, and it's a
Actually-
remarkable story, and then the fact that you both grew up in homes with no electricity, with lots
Right.
of siblings, probably had to share beds and bathrooms and all
sure.
that stuff like
What's
those
that?
those
What's a
rural
bathroom?
families did.
Yeah,
those days.
houses
Yeah,
have
what-
two
what's a
holes.
bathroom?
Right. I
What's a
mean,
bathroom?
it's just a remarkable story. I don't care what anybody says, it is. And so I think it's,
Well, we just got to live.
you got to
in
think
it.
about future generations. They won't even understand it. They don't even understand how it
Well, I've
was.
shown my great grandson. I have a collection of oil lamps. It's in my laundry room.
Mhm.
I've got a pretty good sized laundry room with antique sideboard, and I've got lamps all. So I put oil in it and showed my little great grandson, and told him we didn't have electricity then. Was trying to teach him,
Mhm.
and he said, "Was the power out?"
That's great. That's great. All right. I guess we better wrap it up. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good to see you. We'll see you again,
Yeah.
maybe next year or whenever. And,
Well, we may have to fly. I'm
well,
not
that's
sure.
okay.
The
Well, listen,
schedules-
if you get a cheap ticket to Tulsa, I'll come and get you. It's
Okay.
it,
Hey, that might work.
that's actually a good place to go into, because I think when I came down there, it was $80 a ticket, and it was going to be $500 out of Springfield to go down there. It was worth the drive, 3 hour
Yeah.
drive. So
We can
Well, it's
fly into
closer
St.
than
Louis.
absolutely, yeah, it's an easier
Yeah,
drive
that's
too. You don't have
better.
all that traffic.
Yeah.
That's a lot better price than St.
really
Louis.
is.
We've flown into St. Louis, and Randy picked us up.
Well, that's true. You would have Randy up there, but
So anyway,
okay. Well, we made it without our producer today, so thank you all for watching, and have a good week. I'm going to be gone this Saturday, but we do have guests scheduled for the following Saturday, which is May the 11th. I may have said May 12th last time we met here, but it's May the 11th, and we'll have some guests, so join us then. Thank you.
we didn't do too bad.
You did great. I tell you, I've not had, honestly, I've not had one guest that